actually absolutely mine. I mean, once Debbie has a little bit more insight than some of you might. When Speak did as well as it did, which nobody anticipated, I was pretty much condemned to using one-word titles for the rest of my career. Not a problem, not complaining. I got away with 2 words in Fever 1793 because we really wanted to emphasize that it was historical and not confuse anybody who was looking for another Speak. And ever since then, it's been 1 word. And I've chafed under that a little bit. But then I thought, I'll get them this time. I'll make up a word. Now I thought, and compound words. Germans are very good. You can put these giant, brand new words. So it just came. And when originally my working title was Bone, but I knew I wasn't going to call it Bone. But I just needed, that 1-word title to get me going. And that was it. For those of you, there might be one interesting writing thing for you in here. Well, there's 2. One is late in the book, at a very dramatic place, you'll find one section where she mentions a vulture, and she talks about feeling like she's on an altar and the vultures are pecking at her flesh. That was the first section that came to me in her voice when I wrote. I originally had that on page 1. And then when I got through that first draft, I realized that didn't belong there. And it wound up, for a while, I didn't even think it would fit in the book. And then I found the place for it at the end. That was kind of interesting. And you'll notice in the book, too, I've created some new narrative techniques, which so far the readers I've heard from, the younger ones, are loving, because they're so open to new artistic expressions. This is an unreliable, intensely first-person narrator. And she's having thoughts that she doesn't want to have. She's not allowing herself to have them. So we see her self-censoring in the book. When somebody walks in with a slice of pizza, her first thought is, God, that smells good, right? And what I use is what's called the strike-through. I have a single line through that text. And then the thoughts that she's allowing herself to have. I'm not really hungry. I'm stronger than that. And that was a really fun writing technique. And there's also probably the most bold thing I tried, and thank goodness my editor was open to this. At the critical moment in the book, well, one of them, a really, really bad thing happens. And you're like, hopefully as a reader, I want you to be completely horrified. And then you turn the page, and then there are 2 blank pages staring up at you. And I want you to go, because I wanted the reader to stop the way that the character is stopped there for a second. And, if you don't like it, you can contact me on my website. So far, the early feedback has been positive. And as an artistic person, as a creative person, that's why I love writing for teenagers, because they so are willing to take risks on things that are new. And that's really fun. So, other quick questions? Yes?
When did you decide to stop that mustache? How many times did you decide enough?
Okay, I'm trying to show them. That's a good point. Page 185, chapter 40, she repeats the word must not eat for a couple pages, and it goes on and on and on. And I think what it was on my computer screen in the font that I worked in filled 2 pages. So I wish I probably could have used that if I had been more clever and come up with a good number, but I didn't. Are you an editor?
Yeah,
You're a reviewer. See, same line. That's good thinking. What else? Did you have your hand up?
No, but I had a thought, and I was going to share it with you later. Mark Twain used to do a strike-through in his personal correspondence.
Did he really?
Yes, when he wanted, he wanted to act like he didn't have the thought.
Right.
And then sometimes he would double strike it through, and sometimes he'd actually mark it off, scribble it out.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
That makes me really happy. Thank you for telling me that. Now I have to go look up his stuff. Look, I have to find his correspondence.
Ron Powers' book talked about him using that. And he worked in an octagon place up in Elmira,
New York. Yeah, we are actually borrowing we might borrow a couple little of the exterior details from his, I just want to try to pull in as much good energy as you can. Other questions? Yes?
You said in the bonus thing, in the speech,
right.
That Melinda was autobiographical in some way.
Yes.
Are any of your other characters based on yourself or people that you know?
My husband, who knows me better than anyone on the planet, can see pieces of me in each one of the main characters. Now, Speak is about 10% autobiography, because the events that unfold in Speak are not the events of my life. My truth is in Melinda's depression. So that's where I kind of borrowed from my life. And I think writers do that a lot. We take our emotional truths and we stick them in characters. So there's a piece of me that's Kate Malone. There's a piece of me that's also Terry Litch in Catalyst. I'm kind of both of those characters. And the main character in Prom. What was really fun was writing Twisted. Because it's fun to be a boy. Especially to be a teenage boy, and I got to like pretend in my head like I had all these like muscle. And that like teenage boys, I think often in their minds, most guys are really awesome guys, so they don't act out on this. But their heads, they'll just go into like when somebody irritates them. Like girls get all snippy when they get irritated. Boys just have these awesome fantasies of picking people up by their throats and just slamming into the post, so their heads explode. That was really fun. Yeah, I encourage every woman in this room to write from the perspective of a guy, because it's very liberating. Yes, I think I wrote sick. Yeah.
Boy, did you have the 33 calls?
Yeah.
Did you have something? Is a number? I mean, I shouldn't ask you about a symbol.
Right, you should know better. Yeah. And I'm just going to leave. That's the kind of thing that I like to leave up to readers. It's funny, I was in LA a couple days ago, and there's this one teacher down there, I think her name was Mrs. Oxley. And boy, I don't know what her class did to irritate her, but I had Mrs. Oxley's students coming up to all these different events, and they all had this piece of paper that Mrs. Oxley had given them, and they had the same 2 questions that everybody asked me, and it had to do with if I had intended a phrase in Speak to carry this kind of meaning. And what I told the kids is what I'll share with you guys. I believe that what a reader brings to a book is every bit as important as what a writer brings to a book. And it doesn't matter what I intended. If a reader finds something meaningful there, then it's there. So but that's why I try not to be too heavy-handed in how I interpret things. Kids need to do that in their own. You can tell your English teacher I said that. I'll give you my email. This causes problems sometimes because I've gotten emails from English teachers who have faculty room bets. This person thinks that like the moon means this, and the other person thinks the moon means that, and I have to write back and say, well, yes to both, or no to both, and that doesn't win me any fans, unfortunately. Other questions? No, if you have any, you can ask them when you come up here. And thank you so. Oh wait. Hang on. Can I tweet you? Hang on. Can I make a Twitter message with you guys in it? Is anybody in the witness protection program? Because if you are, I need you to. Yeah, Bobby, you should probably. Yeah. Hang on. Let me hide your faces now. Or wait until the sphere. There we go. I love technology. I'm going to need to borrow children in about 10 years. Because my youngest kid is 17, so I figure, by the time you get to about 30, you're old, and you've lost your technology, and you need children to teach you. So if anybody has any 10-year-olds right now that they would like to become my new best friend, so they can start helping me when they're 20, I will take them. I'll help pay for their college.